Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in DKO, going for the Traveler's Tall Tale achievement. This is to win a round on 8 different arenas. Now, this can be done in a custom game with some boosting partners or friends. You can do this in 1v1, or you can do this in a 3v3 game if you are still working on your double or triple kills. So make sure you work on this at the same time. So no matter how you decide on going about this, before you start the game, I am going to recommend you do best of 5. That way you can play games with as many rounds as you can. This should make things more efficient because you can do this in fewer games, which means less loading. Make sure you go into the modes/arenas pool, and then what you want to do is make sure you clear the arenas for every single game type except for knockout, as that's going to be the fastest game mode to get rounds done in. So just make sure you turn off all of the arenas in all of the other game modes. Go over to knockout and make sure you turn on all but 3. So we're going to just leave the 3 that we can possibly get. You definitely want to try to remember which arenas you have done and haven't done yet, so I do recommend also keeping a list. However, you can narrow down the selection pool on this particular screen right here. So just make sure you thin down the total list, and then once you have your 3 selected, we're going to back out, start up the game, and then we're going to start going for our wins on each of the maps. So once you finally get into the game, you are going to draw one of the 3 maps out of the random, and of course our goal is going to be to win. So if you're doing this in knockout, it's going to be first to 8 points. This is going to go by way faster if you're doing this in a 3v3 game because you can score 3 points at the same time. This should also help you with working towards the multi-kill achievements. Just make sure you have your boosting partners/friends stand in a nice big stack, and then you could knock them out with 1 attack. And if they all go down at the same time, that should count as a multi-kill. Just make sure you keep stacking up your kills until you hit those 8 points, and then once you do, you should take home the round. So super duper easy, just make sure you write down whatever map that you drew, and that way we won't have to repeat it later on. As we move to the second round, you should get a choice between the remaining 2 maps. Just pick whatever one. Since we've only done 1 map, the choice shouldn't really matter. It's always going to be a fresh choice, and we're just going to repeat exactly what we did for last round. We're just going to stack up those multi-kills until we get to 8 points, or we're just going to go crazy on regular kills if we're doing this on 1v1. Nonetheless, just make sure you get up to 8 points and then take the round, and that should knock another map off of the list. So that should be 2 of 8. As soon as you take home the round, you're going to start round 3, and that's going to begin with a map selection. Now, you do need to remember which map that you happen to draw during round 1. That way you can avoid it for this third round. So make sure you choose the opposite one, which should be the third and final remaining map of the 3 that we selected. Then we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go for those kills and those quick points. So again, just make sure you stack up your boosting partners/friends. Make sure you start racking up those points, and then make sure you hit 8 points. Now, you should take the round, and then consequently, you should also take the match because it is going to be best of 5, which means first to 3 rounds should take home the entire game. There's going to be the victory. Unfortunately, that's going to be the most that we can get out of a single game. So we're going to reset up the lobby. This time you want to make sure you disable those 3 maps, and then we're going to move on to the next 3 on the list, and we're going to repeat the exact same thing. Make sure you do best of 5, and then make sure you get into each of these 3 maps, making sure you keep track of which ones that you've done and haven't done, and make sure you get the win on all of those maps. Now, unfortunately, in best of 5, even though you can play 5 possible rounds, since the achievement is for winning these rounds on the maps, you are going to have to try to win as quickly as possible, which means you can only get up to 3 rounds done per match with these settings. So because we need 8 total maps, the bare minimum this is going to take is going to be 3 matches of best of 5. So make sure you keep that in mind and plan accordingly. Now, thankfully, again, if you are still in need of those multi-kill achievements, you can also take this same time to work on those because we do need to get those in anyways. So just make sure you take advantage and then try to work on multiple achievements at the same time. But do make sure you are keeping track of which maps that you have won rounds on, and that way we can know which ones we need and don't need. And we're going to just keep rattling down the list. So here we are. This is going to be number 5, and that should put us at 5 of 8. Last round of the second match is going to be our 6th one. So make sure you choose it. Again, you have to remember which one you drew in round 1 so you can avoid choosing it this time. Make sure you go for those 8 points, and that should take care of 3/4 of the achievement. So taking care of that is going to lead us into possibly the final game where we should take care of the last 2 maps needed for the achievement, which is going to bring us to a total of 8. Now, unfortunately, you can't select just 1 or 2 maps. You are going to have to fill the queue of 3, so just make sure you pick some filler maps to fill the rest of the selection. Now, you are going to have to worry about getting lucky in drawing them in the random, as you are going to have the opportunity to play each map as long as you are selecting them correctly. So make sure you do keep track of which ones you still need. But once you do take home all 8 rounds on 8 different stages, you should be good for the achievement. Now, this game is going to cycle in and out what stages are going to be available. So if you do not have 8 stages available in your current game, you are going to have to wait until a different stage is going to come up in the rotation. So be patient with it. Eventually, the game should drop a new map, and then all you have to do is just make sure you hop in and then get a win on these new maps that are added after the fact. But nonetheless, once you do finally manage your 8 wins in 8 different rounds on 8 different maps, you should finally be good for this achievement. So here we are taking our last win on this map that was added in post-launch. There's the victory screen, and there's the achievement to go along with it. This one's going to be for 70 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.